Have you ever noticed how quick people are to judge silence? You stay quiet online and suddenly you're boring, insecure, or just not confident enough. But here's what psychology says. That assumption, it's completely wrong, because sometimes the loudest confidence is quiet. Let's decode the deeper real psychology behind people who never post their pictures online and why their silence says something powerful about who they are. 1. They don't seek validation, they seek meaning. Psychologists call this intrinsic motivation. It's when your drive to feel good comes from what you do, not what others see. People who post less aren't hiding, they've just stopped performing. They don't need likes to feel alive. Their satisfaction comes from progress, not praise, and that's not insecurity. That's emotional independence. Because here's the truth. The need to constantly prove yourself online is actually linked to lower self-esteem and higher social anxiety. Those who don't, they've simply outgrown that stage. 2. They're comfortable being unseen. In a world where attention is currency, not chasing it is power. It takes deep self-assurance to say, I don't need to show everything. These people aren't insecure. They're self-contained. They know who they are even when no one's watching. Psychologists call this self-concept clarity, a clear, stable sense of identity that doesn't depend on feedback. They're not afraid of being unseen. They just don't want to be misunderstood. 3. They see posting as an emotional transaction. When you post a photo, your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical linked to reward and addiction. That's why constant posting feels like chasing a high. But those who stay quiet have learned how to detach from this cycle. They've replaced short-term attention with long-term peace. It's not that they don't care about connection. They just refuse to trade their peace for applause. 4. They don't hide, they filter. There's a difference between being private and being insecure. Psychologists use the term selective self-presentation. It means choosing what to share, not avoiding it entirely. So when they don't post, it's not because they dislike themselves. It's because they know not everyone deserves access to them. They value intimacy over image. Their silence isn't self-doubt. It's self-respect. 5. They understand the spotlight effect. In psychology, the spotlight effect is when people overestimate how much others notice them. Those who don't post much, they've outgrown that illusion. They realize most people aren't watching that closely. Everyone's too busy thinking about themselves. That realization brings peace. They don't need the spotlight to feel visible. They already feel enough. 6. They're not afraid to be real. They're afraid to be reduced. Posting online invites opinions, comparisons, judgments. People who stay private know how heavy that noise gets. They don't want to turn their real life into a highlight reel. They'd rather live deeply than perform perfectly. They're not hiding flaws, they're protecting truth. 7. They have higher levels of emotional regulation. Psychologists say those who post less tend to have stronger control over emotional impulses. They don't post every feeling, every thought, every picture, because they've learned how to process emotions internally. That's called emotional regulation, and it's linked to maturity, self-control, and higher emotional intelligence. In simple terms, they don't need to prove they're okay, they make themselves okay. 8. They choose privacy. Because it feels safe, not lonely. Many confuse privacy with loneliness, but they're opposites. Privacy is about choosing who gets to see your life. Loneliness is feeling unseen, even when everyone's watching. People who post less understand that privacy creates peace. They'd rather have a small circle that truly knows them than a large audience that barely understands them. 9. They're usually observers, not performers. They watch people, patterns, behavior, not to judge, but to understand. Psychologists call this observational intelligence. They learn from what others reveal instead of revealing everything themselves. They're thinkers, analyzers, and quiet observers who process deeply before reacting. That's why when they speak, it actually matters. 10. They have secure self-esteem, not fragile ego. Here's the biggest myth. People who post less aren't shy, they're secure. They don't need to constantly affirm their worth online because they already believe it offline. It's fragile egos that need constant reminding. True confidence is quiet. It doesn't compete. It just exists. 11. They value real moments over digital proof. Psychologists say people who live more in the present moment tend to record fewer photos because they're too busy living the experience. When they laugh, they don't reach for the phone. When they travel, they absorb, not perform. They know memory feels different when it's lived, not posted. 12. They understand the cost of exposure. Every photo shared is a piece of identity traded for attention. People who post less understand that exposure comes with consequences, comparison, judgment, expectations. They'd rather be underestimated than overexposed. Because when you protect your mystery, you protect your peace. 13. They're not ugly. They're unbothered. Let's address what everyone in your comments said. No, they're not hiding because they're ugly or insecure. They're hiding because they don't care to prove beauty. Psychology shows that those with high self-acceptance don't feel the need to market their looks. They've accepted their imperfections as part of who they are. They don't chase aesthetic validation because real confidence isn't built on appearance. It's built on acceptance. So no, they're not insecure. They're just immune to society's obsession with being seen. 14. They've mastered the art of quiet power. There's a quiet kind of power in not needing to be noticed. You become unpredictable, mysterious, grounded. People wonder what you're up to because your life isn't online. And that curiosity, that's influence. Not the digital kind, the psychological kind. 15. They possess a high internal locus of control in social environments. Most people rely on social media reactions to feel in control. Likes, followers, attention. But people who rarely post usually have what psychologists call a strong internal locus of control. They believe their happiness and success come from their own actions, not external responses. This mindset makes them emotionally resilient. They don't need digital validation to feel powerful because they already see themselves as the source of their outcomes. They use the internet as a tool, not a scoreboard. 16. They exhibit strong meta-awareness, the ability to see themselves from outside the screen. This one's deeper. In psychology, meta-awareness is the ability to step back and observe your own thoughts and behaviors objectively. People who stay quiet online often have this advanced awareness. They can see how easy it is to get trapped in the loop of self-presentation, the pressure to appear happy, successful, flawless. And because they notice that illusion, they choose not to play into it. They're not detached from reality. They're just watching it consciously. They understand how social media shapes identity, so they choose to shape theirs offline. So next time someone calls you insecure for not posting, remember this. Silence isn't weakness. It's control. You don't need filters to feel beautiful. You don't need followers to feel valuable. And you don't need to be seen to be someone. Because confidence isn't how loud you are online, it's how calm you are within. If you're the kind of person who chooses depth over display, peace over popularity, and meaning over metrics, this channel is for you. So subscribe right now, because here, we don't just scroll through people's lives, we decode their minds.